Hey guys, it's Old Man G here back again with another live post-match reaction. Manchester United won, Crystal Palace 3 in what was quite frankly a terrible performance. I've already posted my instant match reaction, which is kind of my brief thoughts on the whole thing. But remember, guys, if you're new to the channel, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, United, and smash the notification button for latest Manchester United news, previews, instant match reactions, you know the whole yard. So yeah, shout out to Don Wagner and Fully Alive in the comments. Manchester United won, Crystal Palace 3. It was awful. It was awful. It was awful. I'm gonna try and I was quite reactionary in my instant match reaction. If you check it out, I'm gonna try in this live match reaction post to be a bit more rational and objective. I'm gonna deal with how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer dealt with things at the end. But right now, I just want to sort of give a brief breakdown in terms of we'll do our player ratings as well. But I want to give a sort of a brief breakdown as to what basically happened, why we're in that situation in the first place, and basically where we can sort of take things from there. So first and foremost, it was awful. It was awful. Obviously the team selection didn't help in that respect. This is one of the reasons why I'm not judging yet, because that first 11 is not what our first 11 is going to be. The big miss out for me was Wan-Bissaka not being there. Now, again, with my objective hat on, the reality is that a lot of Manchester United players are not match fit yet. We've got to bear in mind that certain players, like, for example, I think Pogba, possibly Wan-Bissaka, a few came down with COVID and are recovering from that. Obviously, there are players that are just coming from coming back from haven't been playing, weren't involved in the friendly, i.e., like Matic, for example. So, as I showed you my instant match reaction against Villa, like a lot of those players, I said we're going to play in this team as well, because a lot of the players that normally be in the starting 11 were just not match fit yet. Mason Greenwood, we obviously will have him with England and what have you. He's obviously been sort of out as well. So, that starting 11, so that you see kind of right now, that starting 11 is not the starting 11 that you're going to see for Manchester United going forward. So that's, for me, is the only positive that you can take from this game, is that the starting 11 that you see in front of you now is not going to be the starting 11 that we're going to see going forward. Now, shout out to everyone who's watching on Facebook, by the way. Quite a few people watching on Facebook. Shout out to everyone there. So that's one of the only few positives. Van der Beek is another positive, and I'll come to him later because he did score the goal. But for me, the first thing going to this game was the lineup. The lineup was not great. The fact that because obviously of the facts I said, Wan-Bissaka, yes, people have issues in saying, oh, Wan-Bissaka is not great going forward. Oh, he's not good going forward, blah, blah. This game shows why it doesn't matter how good going forward you are, okay? Because your first job is that you need to defend. And we were getting massively exposed down that right-hand side. We were getting so exposed down that right-hand side, and we needed help. Erasmus shouted to you what a trash there was. But, and as Suspect Dream hits down her, this is what happens. This is what happens. As you know, when matches, Bruno diving is the funniest thing I've seen. And it was so funny. But Van der Beek for getting off the mark. For congratulations. Yeah, you're right. This is what happens when Matic isn't playing. But again, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that later. Tactical manager also coming in says, and there are fans that think Jadon Sancho will be a solution. I mean, this is so. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to those things because you guys are making very good points. Matic not playing. People keep on saying, "Oh, he's slow." It's not the point. We look more composed in our midfield when Matic is playing, and we can pass better. But I'm going to get into that later. I'm going to get into that. Remind me, guys, in the comments. Remind me, guys, for everyone who's watching. Remind me and get your questions in. By the way, the reality is that from the get-go, from the first 5 minutes, I knew where this game was going. It seemed that United and Ole, for whatever reason, we still. It reminds me in a way, ironically enough, of how Pep started playing when he first came to the Premier League, the first 1 or 2 seasons, where we tried to basically play out from the back. Joseph Kitto says this is pathetic for losing the game. I agree. What do you think about? We're going to get to the penalty, mate. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Been saying how bad Shaw is. Shaw didn't look fit at all. He lacked match fitness as well. So left back, we definitely need strengthening on that left back. But for me, the big issue is that we still, for some reason, like to play out from the back. You'll notice it. We pass the ball from the back. We take a lot of time on the ball, and then we get pressed. For the first 5 minutes of the game, we were getting pressed. And so, to be honest, for me, it wasn't a surprise that Crystal Palace went ahead. We're getting pressed all over the park. We just weren't able to. Well, we weren't able to get out. When we were getting out, we were losing the ball because our midfield was sloppy. Pogba, McTominay, the like, were losing the ball a lot. It was bad, and none of the front three could really hold up. Daniel James was there. No, I don't think Daniel James was the fault. But once again, and I've said many times, when you play Daniel James, is that you can't play Daniel James against a team that has a low block that won't give you space. I don't know where, and this is where, I'm going to go to Ollie in a second, because this is where Ollie, for me, he should be learning. He should be learning at this point, because Daniel James is much more of a traditional winger than Martial or Rashford. He likes to play out wide. He likes to use space. You're not going to get that with Crystal Palace. So by all means, play Daniel James against Manchester City, who are going to give us tons of space. Even to a certain extent, Liverpool, who are going to give tons of space. Play him against those teams, to space to run in. But not against Crystal Palace, a Roy Hodgson side who will defend with a back four. Okay? Footy Live says developments happening at Manchester United overnight. I hope so. Because that performance should be a wake-up call to the board to get some signings in. Ollie needs to do something about a defensive side. So the big thing, like I said, is that we were being pressed, okay? And the difference, and this is, I guess, where, tactics, coaching comes in, is that when Crystal Palace lost the ball, they reverted back to a back four, a double back four, so basically to be compact. Okay, so when we won it, we just didn't have any space. Martial, Rashford, nothing. They were ineffective. Greenwood came on and helped a bit, trying down that right-hand side, but even he, after a while, got found out, and I think that the third goal killed the game off, really. But the reality is here, folks, is that we just didn't look good on the ball at all. We were pressed, we were outfought, and Crystal Palace deserved to win the game. Part of that has to do with our formation, and part of that does have to do with the players. I will say that we had the players on the field to be able to win this game. There were good enough players there to win this game. But as Red Devil Weekly's even said, good life, I'm just lost for words. It was a terrible performance. But should we be surprised? Should we be surprised when we lost to Crystal Palace last season with more or less the same team, give or take? I felt really bad for Bruno. I think Bruno tried, but there were, again, and before I go into speaking about Ollie and speaking about selection, etc., there are just a few things in terms of glaring issues that I saw in this game that for me are cause of concern. So I'll just highlight a few, and by all means, let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. And I'm going to talk about that penalty, Rasmus, in a second. IMAX Football says, I told you Pogba for beek. Well, we'll get to that. The first glaring issue is regarding our centre-backs. We need a pacey centre-back. I've said this for as long as I've said that. I most posted it in instant match reaction as well. Play Eric Bailly. I don't care if he gets injured. I don't care if he does anything reckless. Eric Bailly will not be done. I think Ollie must go. I think it's a bit too early for that, mate. I think it's a bit too early for that. But play Eric Bailly in that centre-back position. Okay? Yes, he gets injured. Yes, he's reckless. Play him there. How reckless? This is the funny thing about this game, because Lindelof, obviously, with the handball gave the penalty. How more reckless is Eric Bailly than Lindelof? Please, people tell me in the comments, how reckless is Bailly? Because Bay, the difference, that the advantage that Bay has over Lindelof and Maguire is he's more physical. He's much more comfortable on the ball than those two, and he's quick. We need a quick centre back. I don't want to see Lindelof and Maguire going into the next game against Brighton. Okay, I know that it's the first game. I know it's much fish, but this is the same pattern over and over again. We need a pacey centre back, ideally a left centre-sided centre back. And if we're not going to get a centre back, for me, you've got to start Bay, or maybe try Mengi if Twansibi. I think Twansibi is coming back from injury, or Mengi, promoted. You need someone quick. It's as simple as that. So that for me is a glaring thing. We need to address that now. Not 10 games from now. We need to address that now. Get Bay in, because Lindelof and Maguire, especially Lindelof, had a mare today. Lindelof was bullied. Okay, yes, they got the penalty. Okay, they got the penalty, which was dodgy. And frankly, if that's handball in this day and age, I don't know what is. Fair enough, we've got tons of penalties, but I'm not going to have any empathy for any team that gets... Because I thought the Leeds one wasn't a penalty either. So this is apparently a penalty now. He couldn't do anything about it. The retake as well. But fair enough, if these are the laws, I'll say it with VAR consistently. If these are the laws, we stick to laws, but I won't have any empathy or any sympathy for any other team when these situations occur against those teams. I'm not going to, So, but it's according to law, and it is what it is. Just getting some comments before I rant. So no, Matic was an ultimate L from the get-go, and Maguire is trash. The guy saying, to be fair, Lindelof was worse than Maguire, and no, Matic, he's not match fit yet. That's the only thing. That the one in this game, this circumstance, I will go in on Ollie towards the end, but his hands were tied. If players aren't match fit, then there's nothing that you can do. There are other players who are fitter, because you see this in training. If you can't, for example, sprint 100 meters, then what's the, so it's easy to say Matic would play, and yes, I think he should play, but at the end of the day, he's not match fit yet. So he probably would have given us maybe 20 minutes and then had to go off. Then what can you do? The board have let Ollie down, says Shanaz Wakan. Yeah, they have, because they haven't backed him, and it's been trash. The spot on. The directors and board members believe in Ollie won't sack him unless things turn into a hurricane. I agree. I don't think Ollie's going to get sacked from this, because the fact is that I think right now our board level right now is they're happy with top four. They're happy with top four. We lost the first game, okay, fine, but this doesn't mean anything regarding top four. We lost against Crystal Palace last season, but to be honest, our next, after Brighton away, which I'm a bit more confident with, because Brighton do give us a bit more space and we usually tend to beat them. So I think Brighton away, I have a bit more hope with that. But after Brighton away, our next 4 games are ridiculous. We have Spurs at home. Then we have, I think, Chelsea at home. No, we have Spurs at home. Then we have Newcastle away. Then we have Chelsea at home. And then we have Arsenal at home. So those next 4 games, and then I think we have another hard team after that. I can't remember. But those are 4 hard games. And if we lose against Brighton, then I'm going to start to panic. I'm going to start to panic, because we will struggle against Spurs. If Bale plays and is on form and Reguilon, we might struggle. Newcastle away is always hard, and Newcastle look a lot better this season than they did last season with Wilson and Fraser. Chelsea, Arsenal, it's difficult. It's going to be difficult. So the board better start backing Ollie, and better start backing Ollie quickly. Go to back 3 at the back. I still don't think that works. For a lot of those, for at least a few of those goals, we had enough players back, but we just weren't close enough. We weren't physical enough. We weren't quick enough. We can play a back 3, but if we're not able to, and we should be playing a back, and this is the thing, we should be playing a back 3 against Palace. Against a team with a low block, you shouldn't be playing a back 3. Matthew Jones, I think the board keep Ollie due to the fact that while he's there, he's a puppet feel for Ollie, and it's not his fault for the board taking advantage. I mean, that's a fair point. We should not blame the manager. He wants so much board. I'm not. this is the thing that's to come because we're going to do signings. I'm not going to blame Ollie completely here. I'm not going to blame Ollie completely. I'm going to come to Ollie in a second while I just finish rounding off my, how can I say, glaring issues that I saw in this game, which some of it is obviously due to, this is not starting 11, match fitness, but some of it is like, okay, sir, we need to rectify certain things. So the centre-back situation, we know. Number 2, Wan-Bissaka needs to get fit quick and get straight back into the right back position, because without him there, we looked awful defensively. Zaha just destroyed Mensah, and it was bad. He destroyed him down that side, and he was up doing goodness knows what. I think Mensah had a terrible game, but it is what it is. So that needs to be resolved. Luke Shaw, I don't know what to do really, because we need to find a left back, see what happens, give us good backup. Brandon Williams, does Brandon Williams perform better in that game? Maybe not. I don't know. So we're tied in that position. McTominay cannot play as a holding midfielder. Read my lips. Scott McTominay cannot play as a holding midfielder. Okay. And while Pogba had an awful game, the problem with playing Scott McTominay is that poor Pogba always has to play deep. We saw this so many times last season. It didn't work, where for some reason he plays McTominay, Pogba, and then maybe Bruno or someone else. It doesn't work because Pogba goes back, okay, and effectively Pogba plays the holding role, and he's not good at that. Pogba's been, here's the thing, if you're going to have a guy playing the holding role, they have to be good at keeping hold of the ball. They can't lose the ball, okay, and they have to be able to distribute the ball well, okay. That's why Matic is there, because for me, all our midfielders, I don't know about Van der Beek, Matic is the only one that doesn't lose the ball as much and plays forward. So the fact of the matter is that you can't play McTominay. Stop trying to make Scott McTominay a holding midfielder, Ollie. Stop trying to make him, because he's not that. He goes forward. There was one thing that frustrated me for the entire game, and this is me going on the players, because despite the fact that people are going to say it's Ollie, the players need to be held to account as well. And for me, it is unacceptable that Bruno Fernandes, who's supposed to be the most advanced player, okay, bear in mind, Bruno Fernandes was our number 10, our cam, whatever you want to call it. He is sprinting all the way back to be a centre-back. That happens so many times this game, and that's not acceptable. How can he sprint all the way back, and McTominay, who's supposed to be the holding midfielder, is nowhere to be seen? So for me, I don't want to see McTominay. He's a good, if you're going to play McTominay, play him a bit more forward in a box-to-box, fine. But don't play him as a holding midfielder. Fred is at least marginally better. That's the one decision with Ollie. I was like, I don't understand. I don't understand why you play McTominay over Fred. Ollie seems to have a hard-on for McTominay. I don't get why. But for me, Fred was better than in that midfield against Sevilla. If you remember that midfield against Sevilla, we played Fred, Bruno, and McTominay. It was fine. Sorry, Fred, Bruno, and Pogba. It was fine. We didn't lose the game because of our midfield, because we created tons of chances. We lost the game because of our defense and our fullback issue. So for me, McTominay, if Ollie's going to be ruthless, McTominay, he can't play in that role. He can't. He goes on the bench. Raymond Moore, shout out to you, man. Embarrassing match today. Spot on about McTominay. Red Devil Weekly, the saddest thing I'd say is that I don't think Sancho changes at all. Exactly. And to be fair, I've been consistent in saying this all transfer into my videos, and I'm sure others as well, but we've been in the minority in that I've said I would rather not get Sancho and spend the 120 million on strengthening our squad. Getting rid of players and strengthening our squad. Getting a left back to Luke Shaw. Getting another forward. Getting another a CDM. Getting another midfielder. Getting a lone right winger deal like, say, a Dembele, for example. On it's on loan. Being intelligent about our signings with loan deals and signings instead of just going all in for Jadon Sancho. Because the fact of the matter is, lads, those watching, if we sign Jadon Sancho, we still lose that Crystal Palace game. Jadon Sancho does not fix that result. Greenwood came on and did okay. Ollie starts in James for what the man is. But I don't. I've said Raymond Moore. I've said already that Daniel James is great if you have space to run into, but he's not good if you. He's just not good if you don't have space to run into. It's as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. Shout someone was watching, by the way. Remember to like the vid, and share and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. It really helps with the algorithm and helps with helps with a lot of things, to be honest. Helps to grow the channel, etc. And gets you guys involved. Matthew Jones says, also think that there is not enough depth, so players are just lazy, not making the effort, knowing they will get picked the week after ball and just in it for money. I agree. I think in that respect, Luke Shaw actually played better when Brandon Williams was breathing on his neck. That is what happened. So I don't know. If you look at a few other glaring issues before I get into Ollie, I think that up front, obviously I've said Daniel James can't really play in that. Martial and Rashford looked strange. I'm going to say it till the cows come home, but if we're going to play like that, we need someone to hold up the ball. Rashford and Martial kept on they were just interchanging, but often were drifting out wide. So many times we didn't really have anyone actually in the box. For me, I've said this several times, we play against teams with a low block. As much as people are going to laugh at me for this is one of the reasons why the likes of Fellaini and Lukaku were useful. Yes, Fellaini and Lukaku were good against the Cities, Liverpools, etc. We can do fine against City and against Chelsea or what have you. But against these types of teams, when you need to be a low block, that's why you need the Lukakus and Fellaini's. So you can lob the ball up to Fellaini, wins it up, and scores a goal. Lukaku, so you can bully the Crystal Palace defenders and score a goal. We don't have anyone in a number 9 position who can bully defenders or can hold up the ball well. Martial can do it at times, but other times he can't. And he's probably our best out of the front three. He's probably our best at doing that. Rashford definitely can't. James can't, and Greenwood can't. Igalo can, because he's a traditional number 9. So for me, and I've said this before, if Ollie's going to play this way, and if we're going to play against low box, for me, you should start Igalo and play Martial on the left and Greenwood on the right. So that we have a focal point up top. So if you want to kick the ball up to defenders, kick it up so Igalo can hold it up, bring people into the game, and we go from there. That's how we should set up. But you can't do that. If we are going to play but if you don't want to do that, then we have to pass the ball quicker. Simple touches. 1-2, 1-2, pass and move, and go forward. If you want to use fullbacks, you got to use fullbacks to bomb up, and they got to cross. We're not doing any of those things, and it's frustrating. It is very, 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 very frustrating. Let's just look at some of your comments, guys. The owners are sick in the club, need to get out. Raymond, I don't want to hear any Sancho before we get a proper centre back. Exactly, Raymond. Exactly. But as I said, as the show, for me, we need to sign a centre back. But for me, before we do, Bai has to come in. If Bai is fit, Bai goes, stays in. People will say injury prone, whatever, reckless. I don't see how he's any more reckless than Lindelof and Maguire are. Bai needs to start next game ASAP or given a run. Okay? Because the big thing, and I keep on saying about Eric Bay, is that he is quick. He's got pace. We kept on being done on the break. Okay, the big thing about Eric Bay is that he's got the pace. At least we get that advantage from him. You cannot play Bay and Maguire and Lindelof together anymore. That for the next game has to change. And against a Brighton team away, why not? Usman is staying at Barcelona. Yeah, I would have thought so. Low block Van de Beek. Everybody looks so unmotivated today. Only Donny came to play today. I agree. Amazing how the board and the owners sucked out. Sorry, sucked out the positivity for the club. Bruno's perfect for that system. Low block Van der Beek and Bruno. Sorry, perfect for that system. IMAX football. Thanks. Lastly, just regarding the players, because to be fair, I think you've got to shout out. I don't know why Box. I'm seeing Box's great analysis, well measured and rational, not ranting or swearing. Thanks, Box. I don't. For some reason, Box. If you're listening, Box, thank you for coming. For some reason, your comments seem to always be hidden. I don't know why that is. It might be your username. I don't know. I'm gonna have a look into that. But I am. If you're listening, I am reading your comments out, mate. But I don't know what it is. What's the reason for it? I have to look into it. But like I said, I wanted to be balanced and reasonable with this whole thing because there are going to be a lot of United fans who are going to be reactionary. Ollie out, our team is trash, board, etc. We need to have a balanced approach. My instant match reaction is for my instant feelings. That's why I post that before I go live. But my, thoughts, measured out responses is why I do my live post-match reactions, because they do have to be, thought out and measured. They do. They do. That's the thing. And the fact is, this is not going to be our starting 11. It's not going to be our starting 11. I'm reading out because some of these comments are blocked. Let's have a look. Jellybean841 says it's a shit show. Bayer is our best CB when fit. Regardless of this, though, we needed signings. We've secured top 4 club. Hasn't spent again. Same thing happened on the Mourinho. Yeah, and that for me is the worry here. Jellybean. Wait, comments here, Annie. That for me is the worry. That you're going to have a Mourinho third season situation, where we are now, because Ollie's not being backed and will not be backed, you're going to get this sort of situation where we're just going to slowly but surely we're going to regress, basically. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but I'm not going to lie. I'm concerned. I am concerned because I look at, it's only our first game, and like I said, we, this for live mention, Manchester United will not sign a CB this summer. Said it all summer. Situation will change after today's game, and I agree. I don't think we're going to sign another centre back, but I do think that Manchester United have to at least start Eric Bailly, because you can't play. Ollie has to make that decision now to start Eric Bailly over Lindelof. Make it. It's as simple as that. Raymond, losing on open day is not a good sign for us moving forward. Woodward, get your act together now. Well, we'll see. But you're right. I do agree with you. It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign at all. Remember to like the vid, guys. Like the vid, and share to Red Devil Studio. So I don't know is my answer, because I look at Everton, who we struggled to beat last season. They look better. I look at Spurs, not necessarily in how they played, because to be fair, it's just that they signed Bale and they signed Reguilon, so they have improved. But we'll see, because they didn't particularly look good against Everton. Obviously, Chelsea, again, although they won, they still didn't look great. But they didn't play all their starting 11. City is still City, although I think City are going to struggle as well. I don't think even City are going to, it might be a scenario that City actually lose to Wolves tomorrow, because they're away to Wolves. They're without Aguero, so who knows? Maybe both Manchester clubs will lose out. Raz will say, yeah, I'm going to look at that. So now quote says, how long would it take Ollie to realize Lindelof is not a defender you win titles with? Way too slow. Why do we not at least give Smalling another go? You tell me. You tell me, Chief. You tell me. You tell me. I won't go over it over and over again. I'm going to get my play rates on in a second before I get into Ollie's tactics. But start Eric Bailly is all I would say. Start Eric Bailly. The banter is winning their game again. Yeah, I mean, I'm being bantered already. It's online. It's people are bouncing. But I mean, like I said, the only what I would say, what's the word? Sort of positive, if you can take from this. There's only positive is that We did lose against Crystal Palace at home last season, and we still finished fourth. But for me, and as I've said this before, with the lack of signings, where we are, when you look at the fact that Liverpool, as I said, with Santiago, when you look at obviously even Arsenal look okay. I don't know what is the Arsenal score. Can someone tell me what the Arsenal score is? If Arsenal are winning, then they've got 6 points in the first two. Yeah, Arsenal are winning. Of course they're winning. Of course Arsenal are winning against West Ham at home. Lacazette scored, I think, a Aubameyang assist. So it's not boding well. But we got to see what happens. We've got to try and be at least a bit positive, because I do know that the players do feed off social media and stuff. So us just being negative is not going to help them. So we do have to take the positives. And I think one of the positives that you're going to take from this game is Donny van de Beek, obviously. Came on, instant impact, got a goal, brilliant placement. Congratulations, Donny van de Beek. I wish it was under better circumstances, but we should be celebrating Donny van de Beek's goal. Fantastic signing, very, very good signing for Manchester United. Let's back him, let's push him, and this is the thing, and this I guess this is something that that is a positive. And just going, Mr. Hanif Solskjaer says Ollie needs to explore new tactics and improve the starting 11. I think the starting 11 will be better. Hanif, I think it will. And thanks, Shawza Khan, 1-0 to Arsenal, of course. But the way that I see it, and thanks everyone who's watching, by the way, really, really appreciate it. Getting a little bit of a community going in my live, so I like it. It's good. Let's keep on smashing. Let's keep on getting more people watching. Share it with your mates. Share it on Twitter. Like the vid. Share it. Get us some more views. Really, really appreciate it. But Van de Beek positive, and for me, that's what we mean when we talk about depth in terms of instant impact. Pogba was not having a great game. I don't know why McTominay was still in the field. Okay, Fred should have come from McTominay, and Matt should have come on from McTominay. So I don't get that. That was strange. But in terms of depth, Van de Beek came on for Pogba. What happened? Instant impact. Van de Beek gets us this goal, and we have at least a bit of positivity to fight back and get something, and obviously the game got killed because of Lindelof being weak, effectively. Now I'm going to talk about the penalty before I get into the player rating. I know I've talked for a long time now, so get your questions in, guys. But I don't think it's a penalty. It's a penalty under the new rules. It's a retaken penalty under the new rules. But for me, it's not a penalty. I'm glad that at least he went to the monitor. But according to the rules of the game, and this is where I feel like now handball is going to be just completely. I think this season you're going to see a lot of penalties are going to be given for handball, a lot more now this season, because now it's not a question about intentional, non-intentional, or where he goes, or he didn't mean it, or whatever. It's about where was your arm. So if your arm is here. Okay, so let's see your arm. I'll be right. If your arm is out like that, I'll use this one. Out like that, right? Okay, you're running back like that. You're running back, and if your arm is out like this, and then a player kicks the ball against your arm here, it's a penalty. That's what the rules are. And so understandably, defenders are going to put their arms behind their back, so keep their hands like this, not make themselves big, because they'll be concerned if they give away a penalty. That's the reality, So I think you're going to see a lot of either you're going to see a lot more goals because of the hand behind the back, or you're going to see a lot more goals due to penalties. That is what you're going to see. Unfortunately, I genuinely believe that Ed Woodward is a Liverpool fan. I don't necessarily disagree with you. Keep it United talking to him his age on terms. No, yeah, I mean it's another. I posted a tweet out where basically personal terms FC. United are basically personal terms FC. Oh yeah, we agree personal terms. Yeah, I don't care. Okay, I don't. Not against you, Tom, but I don't care about personal terms anymore. I've stopped even posting transfer videos when you say. I remember when the amount of big United fan channels out there, they're like, Tellez agreed. Tellez agreed from this dodgy site. Tellez agreed. We agreed. Tellez. We signed Tellez. Breaking. Personal terms are under discussion. So, like we agree personal terms all the time. That doesn't make a difference. Jota, Liverpool agreed personal terms of Jota, and then within 24 hours, he became a Liverpool player from Wolves. So if we're talking about that type of personal terms, great. But we don't have that type of personal terms, really. Our personal terms are more dragging it out over and over and over again. No penalty should be taken. I agree. In just general football, I agree. But unfortunately, according to these stupid new rules, it's not. And I'm not going to have any sympathy for any other club that gets it, unfortunately. Oh, needed some more. They've been talking for so long. We lost against Villa and now Palace. If we lose again, prepare for the coming dreadful season. I want to see us play our actual starting 11 from last season. That's what I want. We lost against Villa and we lost against Palace, but what that shows is that the depth in our squad, is not good enough. And that's why I emphasize, I want to bring attention to the impact that Donny van der Beek made. And I'm going to give him a high score because obviously he was an impact. But it shows you the depth. Donny van der Beek came on for Pogba, who was not having a great game, and scored. With other players, we didn't really have that. And the only thing really is that some of our starting players like Greenwood, like Wan-Bissaka, etc., were obviously on the bench. So depth is important. It's important. The rules are getting worse, says IMAX. Shanaz Khan says we are personal terms FC. We are definitely personal terms FC. Footy Alive, don't worry, no offense taken, mate. Personal terms only make up 20% of a deal. Yeah, I agree. Burnley all over again, mate. I'm scared about Burnley. I'm scared, to be honest. I'm scared about most teams because you don't know what United is going to turn up. But the issue here, really, and what we need. Do you think Donny van der Beek should have started? Yes, actually. Let me quickly go into my player ratings. But to address that, I do think he should have started. I actually think that Donny van der Beek should have played ahead of Pogba because Pogba looked sloppy, and he had the virus. Not he is a virus, but he had the virus, and because of that, he didn't look match fit at all. So I don't get why Pogba started. Pogba didn't play. If we look at the Villa game, the midfield we played, I think, was Van der Beek, McTominay, and who else played in that midfield against Villa? Was it Rashford? Rashford probably played deep. I can't remember. But Pogba didn't play. So Pogba, strolls in. Like, he didn't look match fit. Van der Beek at least played against Aston Villa, so got a few minutes, so looked okay. McTominay has no excuse, really. Luke Shaw has no excuse, really. He should be fit. Foster-Mensah played. Most of those players played against, aside from, I think, Lindelof. Lindelof didn't play, so okay, maybe he's a bit not fit because I think Foster-Mensah played as a centre back there for some strange reason. I don't know. But I do think VDB should. I think what they should have done is they should have played Fred, VDB, and Bruno. That for me is what should have been. If Matic is not match fit, because Matic is probably not match fit yet, I would always start Matic, But if he wasn't match fit, I think you should have played Fred, VDB, and Bruno. Okay, with VDB and Bruno interchanging in terms of their sort of thing. That's who I think should start. In my opinion. Emma Hanif says Man United's defenders are already good. It's just a matter of communication between defenders. It's very chaotic. They often make mistakes which can be fatal. We conceded 3 goals, though, mates. I know one of them was a penalty, but it was a defensive mistake. We conceded 3. Like our first game, we conceded 3 goals. I was raving about how good United's defense were. Third best defense record in the league, but we've just conceded 3 goals in our first game of the season. How good is that defense? So let me just quickly I'm going to get my player ratings up. Let's have a look. Let's get okay. There we go. Okay, for some reason, why is it? Yes, okay, fine. So you should be seeing a picture right here. Sorry, right here of Manchester United players. We are going to be getting into player ratings in a second. Let me just player ratings. Geez, this is going to be interesting. Right, so player ratings. Let's go. Let's go. Why is it coming off again? 2 seconds, everybody. Why is my image? Get it. Have a quick look. Should be seeing the player ratings here. Image slideshow. I want to get the players on. Get your questions in as well. While I'm sorting this out, get your questions in, guys. Get your questions in. Get your questions in. Get your questions in. Yeah, right, left, next side, enter. It should be. If it doesn't come up, then that's fine. I don't care. I'm just gonna have to back. Okay, there it is. Okay, it's back. Okay, cool. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. We're back. We're live. We're back. We're back. We're back. And for me to show, shout out to for me to show man in chat is the man that did the difference. Wan-Bissaka was poorly missed today. I genuinely do think if Wan-Bissaka played, Zaha he would have still struggled, but he would have done a lot better than Foster Mensah did. That's for sure. And I'm doing well, buddy. Thank you. Is Wan injured? Well, he was on the bench. I just think he was not match fit, but he was on the bench. Sanod says, our players at lethargic with no game plan on how to break down a deep sitting defense. This is the same problem we had before Bruno arriving at Sarti. Exactly. I completely agree with you. So player ratings, yeah, okay, that's cool. Back. So David De Gea, I think for me gets a 6. Yeah, 6. I don't think any of the goals were David De Gea's fault. He got a hand to the other one, but I don't really blame him for that. He did like he actually saved the penalty. I think it was what was it? Was it 1-0 and he saved the penalty? And you're thinking, right, that's what we need. If there wasn't any VAR and he saves that penalty, that's that would have turned around the game. That was for me the deciding factor in the game. And that if he saves the penalty, we take that positivity and go out and possibly kill the game off with Van der Beek coming in. But the penalty had to be taken and we scored, and that arguably effectively was the beginning of the end. So Donny Van der Beek for me, David De Gea for me, he gets a 6. He gets a 6. He tried his best. I don't think the goals were his fault, but he gets 6 for me. Victor Lindelof gets a 3 for me. He wasn't match fit. He obviously didn't play against Villa, but you got to judge him based on this game, and he was bad. By the way, get your play ratings, guys. For those who are watching, maybe watching them, to like the video, share and subscribe to Devil Studio. Hit that like button. But yeah, Lindelof was a 3. Lindelof was a 3. McTominay says too far up all game. Yes, I don't know where McTominay was playing, to be honest. For me, show like I said, if Ollie is playing McTominay as the holding midfielder, then he's not playing that role well. And if he's playing Pogba as the holding midfielder, then he's not playing that well. So I don't really get what you're trying to do there. Really, I don't. So yeah, Lindelof gets a 3 for me. He was bad. He was not good. I think he could have done better on both him and Maguire could have done better on the first goal. He gave away the penalty for the second goal. And then the third goal, he's just bullied off the ball, and then thinking to takes his strike. So, I think he had an overall bad. In fact, two actually. He had a bad. He was arguably responsible for. I think Luke Shaw more so third, but he had a hand in all three of the goals that we conceded. He was bad today, Lindelof. Eric Bailly, please, has to start next game. Okay, he has to. Maguire wasn't that much better, to be honest. I give Maguire probably, I don't know, anywhere between a 3 and a 4. I don't think he was that great. He's the captain. I don't know what leadership he showed on the field at all, really, to the point where Bruno Fernandes, if Bruno Fernandes is in the penalty box defending, then, what kind of leader is that? For me, he should. I've said Bruno Fernandes should be the captain of Manchester United, not Maguire. And the fact that you saw Bruno coming back into the centre to actually defend, he couldn't do that all game because he was tired. The fact that he did that just goes to show you, I just don't know what Maguire. I'm going to be hard on Maguire because he's the captain and he's supposed to be marshalling the back four, and he didn't do anything today. He didn't settle the youth in Foster-Mensah. He didn't show any leadership with Luke Shaw, and he certainly didn't show any leadership with Maguire or Lindelof. And to be fair to Lindelof got some tackles in. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. But for me, Maguire, I give a 3, to be honest. Crystal Palace did everything to give United the win. They tried to, but I think Crystal Palace were good. Raymond Moore, should we start worrying now? Do you wait for a few more games? I want to see the strongest 11 play first before I make my decision. So against Brighton, I want to see Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Eric Bailly, not Lindelof, Matic, Pogba, Bruno, or Van der Beek and Bruno, whatever, and then Greenwood, Rashford, and Martial. I want to see that starting 11, and then I'm going to then judge. If we still flop after that, seeing that starting 11, then I think it's cause to be concerned. If we lose against Brighton with that starting 11, then we should be worried because we have Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, and Newcastle away in our next 4 games. Those are tough games. We could easily lose all those games if we're not careful. Share on Twitter. Yes, please, mate. Please share on Twitter. Please, I'd appreciate it, guys. Where's my man? This guy is slow. This guy is slow. People already saying Woodward spend money. It's deeper now. A lot of people are going to be saying Woodward spend money, but we'll see what happens. G, do you want to do an update video, transfer update video? I don't know. I can't. Maybe, mate. But I'm so tired right now, and I'm tired of transfer talk right now. I really, really am. Because other clubs are talking about it and doing it. We just seem to be talking about it. I would say wait till the end of the window before we start worrying. I don't see us signing 2 new players by the 5th of October. If we do, fair play. But I just don't see us signing 2 new players I just don't. About Maguire, yeah, I admit it. Yeah. Let's move on. Foster-Mensah, I think also, in fact, Foster-Mensah gets a 3 as well. 4. I'll keep pushing to a 4, but just because he's obviously not played for a while, although he did play against Villa. He wasn't really a part of the squad last season, but there's a reason why Wan-Bissaka starts here. Foster-Mensah just was leaving. I mean, I know he was being tasked to push up the field, but he wasn't tracking back at all. And Lindelof, to be fair to Lindelof, he was being exposed because normally Lindelof would be getting help from Wan-Bissaka on that side. Foster-Mensah didn't help at all. He did a bit going forward. No, actually, 3. He wasn't great. He didn't have a great game at all. None of our backline had a great game at all. I'm not even going to go there. Luke Shaw 3 as well. No. He was at fault partially for the first goal. He got a little bit better I'll give him a 4. Actually, he got a little bit better in the first, a bit more joy linking up with Rashford, and hopefully in when he gets to match fitness, he'll improve. But I don't know, guys. There was nothing there that said, right, we shouldn't pursue Telles or Renglon or any left back. There wasn't from that appearance from Luke Shaw. He didn't look match fit like a lot of the players. A few positive sparks in the second half, but nothing more. So 4 for me. Josh says Woodward out. I think a lot of people are saying that, Chief. Scott McTominay. Man, 3? 3? No, 2 actually. Scott McTominay is an academy grad. He has a lot of passion, and I don't necessarily think that this was his fault, but he can't play as a holding midfielder. I've said this till the cows come home. He can't. He lost the ball quite a few times, much like Pogba did, or Pogba was arguably worse. But the big thing for me, the big thing for me, and the big difference for me is that when Bruno is playing deeper than you and tracking back more than you, despite the fact that you're supposed to be the holding midfielder, that is bad. Okay? That is very, 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 very bad. It's not good enough. And for me, it's a 2 for Scott McTominay. I don't think he helped. I don't think he... They were basically, throughout the whole game, we already had a weakened defense because we had to play Tufi Fosu-Mensah and Maguire not enough pace. And then to play McTominay in front of that weakened defense, who goes forward and doesn't help back, of course, they were going from midfield. Of course, we're going to have problems. You put Matic there, and at least he calms things down. Our midfield was a mess. And that's why you need a holding midfielder. For me, the priority, we need to get a holding midfielder, we need a centre-back, we need a left-back, and we need a right winger. If we can do those 4 deals, then we might have then we might crack on. I don't think we're going to do those 4 deals, though. But anyway, it is what it is. Hanif says, about Maguire, I admit it's disappointed to play, but with that price, he couldn't prove the capability. Plus, about his no-look defending. Yeah, I don't think Maguire's good enough. I don't, Chief. But if he is going to be good, he's going to be there. He needs someone that's fast, and he's not. Hope this loss sends a message to Woodward Glazer. We desperately need a centre-back. Did it under Jose? Jose said he needed a centre-back going into the 3rd season after basically finishing 2nd with United to strengthen. Did they get him a centre-back? Thoughts? Pogba, 3. He just didn't look match fit at all. Pogba looked bad. These players were not match fit at all. Sloppy, losing the ball. To be fair to Pogba, unlike McTominay, Pogba, and this is the only reason why I'm marking him more, is that Pogba didn't play against Villa, and also Pogba obviously had the virus, and also Pogba was planning to play a lot deeper because of McTominay. So he wouldn't normally be doing the defensive role or job, but because of Scott McTominay playing there, and I've always seen this every single time when Ollie... Anyway, I'm not going to go over it because you know how I feel about it. But yeah, Pogba didn't have a great game. Lost the ball so many times. It's not good enough. Georgia B says, Glazers spent their word on Tom Brady. Yeah, the Glazers are an interesting folk, aren't they? They are very interesting folk, the Glazers. They're very interesting. They seem to cause a lot of problems. They really do, and it's frustrating. It's very, 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 very frustrating. Moving on. Bruno Fernandes, to me, I'll give Bruno Fernandes a 6, a solid 6. I'm not going to give. We lost. I'm not going to give anyone. I'm only going to give one player 7, and you know who he's probably going to be. Bruno Fernandes was probably arguably our second best player on that field. He's probably the only player that showed leadership, that wants to try, wanted to make things happen, but he couldn't make anything happen really because there was not really any. The midfield, the whole thing, it just didn't work. It really didn't work. It didn't. 20 people watching, guys. Come on, 20 likes on the vid. Let's get the 20 likes on the vid, guys. Come on, guys. Make sure you share the vid as well and support the channel by subscribing if you haven't already. But yeah, Bruno. He tried. But the fact of the matter is that our midfield. There wasn't really. We didn't really have a midfield really today. It wasn't really clear who's doing what. And like I said, Bruno at times was the most deep player. So if Bruno is our most deep, our deepest player, who's up front creating chances for the front three? It wasn't good. It wasn't good. So I don't blame. I think Bruno had an off game today. Well, I wouldn't say an off game. I just think that our midfield was all over the place, and that didn't help him. Ollie has to make a decision. Where are you going to play these players? Okay, what is going to be our midfield going in? Because it can't be McTominay as a holding. Okay, it can't be. It really can't be. And he needs to be backed. The only football the Glazers know is American football. I don't disagree with that. Interesting is not the word we'd use for the Glazers. I'm trying to keep it PG, Georgia B. Mohamed Jabba has a big money bid from United's PR team loading, of course. I'm sure there's going to be something like, Lingard has signed a new contract. Should start Aguerd more often. He's gone in January. Aguerd needs to start for me. I don't think that... I'm going to say something controversial. We'll get to it, actually. I'll get to it. Bruno at least got back on defense. He did. Daniel James, free. But again, I'm not going to dwell on Daniel James that much because I don't think he's going to be in our starting 11 going forward. But what I would say, in fairness to Daniel James, that again, Daniel James is more of a traditional winger and will play well when he has space. So for me, Daniel James' poor performance is more based on Ollie's poor coaching and tactics and not on him. If you're going to play Daniel James against a team that's going to give you space or bring him on to create more space. I don't want to judge, that's his game. He needs space to run into. You don't play him against Palace. It doesn't work. It doesn't. So I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't. And that for me was poor by Ollie. I know Greenwood needs protection, but there you go. Mason Greenwood obviously starts it. Well, he came on. I think Mason Greenwood as a substitute. I think I'll give Mason Greenwood. It's difficult to rate substitutes, but Greenwood did have a bit of an impact. I give him a 5. He did have a much bigger impact, and just goes to show you, I think, because the thing I noticed about Greenwood that you didn't see from the left coming from Rashford, for example, and which is why I generally think that, I'm going to come to Rashford for a second because I generally think that Rashford needs to be dropped. Because one of the things you saw from Greenwood that you would probably see from Martial if he was actually more focused on the left coming in was that he was trying to take on players. He was trying to dribble. He was trying to take on players, come inside, and then do it. That's what he was. So if you're going to play, so that caused the pass defense problems. So if you have Greenwood and Martial doing that on both sides, yes, they might lose the ball, but they have to make the pass defenders think. Rashford wasn't doing that at all, and that was an issue. That was a very, very, very big issue. So for me, Greenwood coming on, of those are sub. I'll give him a 5. Marcus Rashford for me is a 4. I generally think, I'm sorry, I love Marcus, I do, but I think he needs to be rested and needs to be dropped. He's not played well for quite some time. I don't know whether it's his injury, whether he's playing through his injury, but he's not played well for quite some time. He's not. And for me, if I was Ollie, I don't think Ollie's going to do this because it's Rashford. I'll stick with Rashi But with Igalo there, for me, drop Rashford, put Martial out left, put Igalo through the middle, and put Greenwood on the right, and see how that goes. Because at least Igalo will hold up the ball, will bring Martial and Greenwood into play, and Fernandes, it will work. Rashford isn't able to do that right now, and it's just and he's not good enough. He's not good enough for me. Rashford needs to be dropped. That's what he needs to be dropped. It's as simple as that. Martial 4.5, 5. I'll say 4.5. He didn't get any service really. What could he do? He did try a few shots back, but again, the low block by Crystal Palace again reminds me of last season. Low block. Can't really do anything. No ideas, So Palace were also disciplined to not give away stupid free kicks and fouls, which they could have been made to pay by likes of Pogba or something. So it is what it is. So again, much like with Daniel James, he didn't really get the service, and I still think that for me, he should be playing out left instead of Rashford, because he's better at going at players from the inside than Marcus Rashford is, in my opinion. Let's see some of these comments. Agrino game plan. Adore says Sanold, we need an NDD type. Desperately, we do. Are we going to get one? Probably not. Who else? Ollie and staff are coached by Roy. Well, we were coached by Roy last season. They beat Old Trafford last season. And to be honest, we got a bit lucky at Palace because, one, they want to run a poor form. They'd already survived, so they were kind of not really at it, really. And even then, I still think we were lucky because they played well. Rashi still going to be suffering from his injury. I think so. I think he is. And I just think that, he's being overplayed, and that's what Ollie does. He overplays players. He doesn't have faith in the players that are there. And it's not good enough, in my opinion. You've got to use your squad. You've got to use your squad, Ollie. You've got to use your squad. What happened to Rashford? Yep, he has. I really hope today was a blip because of fatigue and Rashford. It was not. There'll be no place higher season. All other teams will come to Trafford thinking they can better. They were doing that last season, quite frankly. They were. I hope this is a blip too, and that's why I'm not going to be completely out to Ollie, because at the end of the day, this wasn't our starting 11. It wasn't our starting 11. It wasn't our main starting 11. This wasn't our first. What I want to see is if our starting 11, like our strongest team, plays badly like that, doesn't know what they're doing, then obviously questions are going to be asked about Ollie. Okay, but right now, we've got to see what happens with our starting 11. Back injuries take a long time to heal. They do. Greenwood just needs more play time to shape the performance. He's a rare player can use, but he is exactly. I love Greenwood. I do love Greenwood. I feel if Greenwood was under Klopp, for example, Greenwood would possibly be one of the best players in the league, because he's got a lot of potential, but he's not getting coached well enough, in my opinion. We need a CDM, but if the squad is rubbish, then how can you use it? That is why the club. This is why the club is. Well, our squad is a bit better. Obviously, with Van der Beek in the midfield, that was a big issue last season. But Shanwas, you're not wrong. Our squad does need to be better. You're not wrong at all. But the only thing that I would say is that Ollie also has to use these players. Okay, Ollie has to use the players. So in the case of today, we had Fred and Igalo on the field. Igalo played in the Villa game, so at least he's a bit fitter. And Fred, I would still pick Fred over McTominay any day. So yes, we need better players, but we also need to use the players that we have that can do a job. And for me, Igalo can do a job. I don't see how badly Igalo is compared to Rashford, to be honest. And Fred, for me, I don't really get how worse he is over McTominay. So use Eric Bailly, as I've said several times. Eric Bailly for me is better than Lindelof. He's fit now. He's not injured. Play him. So we have those 3 players who could come and do a job, but they weren't being played. You know? It's not a blip. Ole will be gone by Boxing Day. Well, if it goes like it did last season, we'll perform poorly and then we'll beat City and Spurs back to back. But I don't think that the board are going to sack Ole unless he doesn't finish top 4. For me, that's the thing. And I'll say this right now to United fans watching before we finish the player ratings. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer top 4 finish is going to be what you need to understand, guys, is that the board of Manchester United are not interested in winning titles anymore. They're not interested in winning domestic championships. All they're interested in is we're like Arsenal basically now under the Wenger years. Get top 4 and that's fine. Get into the Champions League and that's fine. Get the money from that and that's fine. So that's what we are now. So if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer somehow manages to get top 4, that'll be enough. Or that'll be enough. Raymond says, I would rather see Marsh playing on the right wing instead of James Howard playing up front. Yeah, I still prefer Marsh on the left, personally, because Greenwood can play there. Pepe would do wonders for Greenwood would too. Pep, not Pepe. Zane says Ollie out. It's a bit too early for that, isn't it? Don't you think? Is it a bit too early for Ollie out? United's problem is Woodward. I think it's a lot of things. Aguaba from watching on Facebook. Shout out to you, mate. I think it's not just that. Banter one now. Wait, what? Did West Ham? Oh, West Ham equalized. Again, Antonio. No surprises there. Okay, maybe. The only take home from this is that if Arsenal lose against West Ham or drop points to West Ham, then that'll be at home. That'll be something. West Ham, come on, Antonio, come on, score a second goal. My night will be at least a little bit better knowing that Arsenal Football Club also lost as well. Because Crystal Palace, to be fair, are a decent side. So thanks for that, Rasmus. Here we go. Ollie out Van Sack again. Ollie's not playing in defense. Yeah, like I said, Ilya, thank you for joining the chat, Ilya. I'm not. This is not time for Ollie out. This is not about Ollie out. This is about our first team, and it's about seeing how things go. And the fact that a lot of players are not match fit yet, and also the nature of the season and so on. So, let's not be reactionary. I wouldn't be reactionary just yet at all. It's not the time to be reactionary, because the fact of the matter is that we lost. And I know Zane, Ollie, I don't care. The players he is good enough. Forget about trust what he's doing. You say are the players good enough? Are they good enough though? I see this a lot sometimes. The players are good enough. I looked at Zaha today. Are you telling me that Daniel James is better than Wilfried Zaha? Really? Even Andre Ayew against like Rashford. You say the player. We keep on saying this is one thing I want to highlight here. I see this a lot where we say the players that we have are good enough, and I see United fans saying, we shouldn't get Zaha or Brooks or all these players. They're not good enough to play for Manchester United. Well, hang on a minute. Are our players really, really good enough? What do you mean by good enough? Wilfried Zaha, for me today, was the best winger on the field. And Zaha was at Manchester United. We have a buyback. We have a discount. If we bought Zaha, we could. I think it's 30% back or something. So if we bought him, we'd get 30 million back. Wilfried Zaha could play on that right wing, and we'd be good, So the fact of the matter is that we keep on saying Ollie has good enough players, and yes, I think he does have a lot of good players, but there are still a lot of players on the side that you're like, are they good enough though? Is Lindelof really the best, a really good centre back? Is Daniel James really a good right winger compared to Zaha, even compared to Mamasoko? You know what I mean? So I think it's a bit of a myth that we think that our United players are playing are an elite level. They're not. And we shouldn't be so snobbish to dismiss players from these types of teams that arguably could improve our squad. Liverpool signed Jota from Wolves. Why were we not interested in signing Jota? Doherty as a centre back or as a left back to help. Good for again for Wolves. Why didn't we do it? What? Because they play for Wolves? They're not good enough? Come on. Come on. Come on. Twan CB is just recovering from injury, Chief. Let me just finish my player and I'm going to get to your questions. Donny van der Beek, the bright shining light, the only sort of positive really from this game was seeing Donny van der Beek play and Donny van der Beek get a goal. You know, my goodness, man. Donny van der Beek, you know, and this is why I will say again about it. I'll give Donny van der Beek a 7 for the goal, obviously, that he scored. But again, this is what I'm saying, guys. This is the importance of, you know, having a having depth. Having depth. You know, with Donny van der Beek coming in, we have depth. Okay, so Pogba wasn't having a good. If this was last season, we probably would have conceded 2 more goals. Let's say. Donny van der Beek came into the pitch because Pogba wasn't poor. Obviously, Van der Beek's a bit more match fit. He comes on. He plays a lot more advanced. And what I saw Van der Beek going forward is interesting because what it looked like is that Van der Beek basically what happened is that Van der Beek basically was the more advanced player compared to Bruno. So Bruno came back into the sort of the holding position. McTominay was still. I don't really get why McTominay was still in the field. For me, that was the major mistake. One of the major mistakes Ollie made. Now, I'll come to Ollie in a second, but I don't get why McTominay was played the full 90 minutes. I really, really don't understand. McTominay should have been off the field. And either Fred or Macth should have come on. For me, personally, for me. Because what you're going to probably see is Pogba maybe coming off, Bruno maybe coming off, and Van der Beek playing the more advanced role. And that's where Van der Beek's going to play. So we can really see where Van der Beek's going to play. And it looks like he's going to be the more advanced player if either Bruno or Pogba are playing. So that was interesting. But for me, it's a shame we didn't win because he started and he scored a goal. You know, first appearance, goal and goal. So great. Unfortunately, we didn't win the game, and it's not his fault. But hopefully, we can see how things go. But let me know, guys. Do you think that Van der Beek should even start next game? Because because next game we've got a decision to make about our midfield. Who plays in our midfield? McTominay for me can't play. And then you're thinking, do we revert back to Matic, Pogba, and Bruno like we did last season? Or do we say maybe put Van der Beek, Bruno, and Matic and drop Pogba on the bench and make Pogba impact? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What would you think? What would you guys do? And that's I think that's everybody. Is that everybody? Is that everybody? I think that is everybody. I think I've gone for everybody. If I haven't rated anybody, please let me know. Garlo obviously was a brief thing that came on, you know, but I wouldn't really rate Garlo right now. So, but those are the player ratings, folks. I'm going to round things up because I've been streaming for almost an hour now, you know. So, and I want to at least check the Arsenal game because I really want Arsenal to lose badly. I really do. It'll be great. But just quickly reading some of your comments before we sound out. So what about Twansiba? Address that. We've got to improve our corners and set piece. We are missing threats from corners. We have been bad because like 2 now. Great team, especially more so an ankle. Well, isn't that why we bought Harry Maguire? You know, I think our delivery from corners has been fine because now what's his name? Bruno is delivering them, and our set piece from that respect are better. He's our set piece specialist. Pogba's not so bad either, but we don't have the ability. We're not scoring from them, and the fact is, Maguire was brought in to do that, and he's not doing it. So whether we're not practicing on the training field, do a corner. Maguire should come in to head the ball, better positioning instead of fouling. We'll see, but he wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing that at all. Sorry, 2 seconds. Is it ready? Lindelof played like Phil Jones today. He did. He did. I was very surprised in the way that Lindelof played. Lindelof played. Lindelof played. Yeah, Lindelof played like Phil Jones. Lindelof was, it bad. Lindelof did not play well at all. Zane said, "Remember that Bruno is from the summer's budget." So yeah, I mean, yeah, that shouldn't be the case. That shouldn't be the case at all. Considering the fact that, like, if we let Smalling go, for example, 20 million, it's how is it that we've essentially spent 80 million? We've let Sanchez go with his wages, so we spent only 80 million. I don't get it. I don't get it. We can't finish top 4 if we keep losing to bottom table teams. That's true, but we need to. But that's why I guess we need to turn up against Arsenal, Chelsea, and the top teams to take points of them. That's what happened last season. That's the only reason we finished top 4 last season, is because we beat Chelsea twice, and we beat City twice, and we beat Leicester twice. That's the only reason why we finished top 4. Amongst other things. I said don't trust in the defense, Ilya. Get Bailly in, is my thoughts. Miranda says I do not support Ollie out thoughts. I don't either, at least not yet. 1-1 West Ham. I know, interesting. West Ham was our nemesis too. They were. I really don't want to play West Ham anytime soon, to be honest. Hanif says, should United get a better squad or manager? Rich tackling is good football. I think we need to see players first. This is the thing that people say, oh, is it player? Is it tactic manager? Look at Chelsea. If Lampard flops with the players he's got, Lampard will. So look, yeah, that's better. Okay, I'm gonna just change the thumbnail of this thingy so that people can see. If Lampard, essentially, what I'm saying is, if Lampard got the squad and he messes up, for example, then he's still got a good squad. So this is the thing about long-term thinking, is that yes, you should get the players that the manager wants, but you should also be thinking about building the squad as a whole. So even if the manager goes, that you've got a strong enough squad that is there, so that you don't have any long-term issues. So that the manager can come in and be like, right, okay, fine, I'm going in, and I've got a good squad to work with. That should be the Manchester United philosophy. It shouldn't just be about, okay, get the players that Ollie wants, okay, because that might not necessarily work. It should also be about thinking, right, okay, let's think the next 10 years. Let's think about how we're going to go out and prep up this team, and really go and do something, So I guess what I'm saying is that, and I'm not rambling here, it shouldn't matter about the manager per se, but this only works if you have a director of football, and that is the problem. That is the problem. My ranting. The thumbnail should have changed, by the way. Thank goodness. Let's have a look. Yeah, we're just getting a lot of. The unfortunate thing, guys, is that I'm just getting a lot of. I'm getting a lot of Jose Mourinho third season vibes. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm getting those vibes because Jose Mourinho asked for a centre back and he didn't get one, and look what happened. So and the fact is that that's why for me the win again. I know it's a bit late, and I'll be doing obviously a match preview for the Brighton game later, but that game is actually a must-win. It's a must-win game. Because if we lose to Brighton away, like I said, guys, we have Chelsea at home, Newcastle away, I think it's Spurs at home first, then Newcastle away, then Chelsea and Arsenal. We could easily lose those games, guys. We could. So we need to get points on the board, and we need to beat Brighton, tout sweet, to get ourselves back on track. Um, yeah, team looked unprepared. I mean, yes, we didn't really have the. For me, it's always it's obviously the players. You know, we had at the end of the day, United. Obviously, we're in Europe for longer. We're in Europe for longer than any other team, really. The players obviously went on vacation, so a lot of other teams, their match fitness and match sharpness was a lot better. They came back for training earlier. They have an extra game early, so the United players did not look overall. The United players looking at them, I know they can play better than that, and they didn't look match fit. So I'm hoping in the next game, in the subsequent games, that will change, and it needs to change quickly. What is wrong with Rashford's been poor since he came back from injury? Maybe because he might still be injured, is my only thing. He might still be injured. We need 3 defenders. I wouldn't go that far, Ilya. Saying on paper they are good enough, see it's the manager not getting the best out of players. I still I think some of them, yes, but not all of them. I don't think that on paper. I don't see Daniel James a better player than Wilfried Zaha, even with a better manager. I don't. I really, really don't. On paper, even with a better manager, because bear in mind, Zane, there's still a few amount of these players that are playing under Jose. Okay, Pogba was playing under Jose, Rashford was under Jose, Martial was Jose, Lindelof was Jose, De Gea was Jose, Luke Shaw was Jose, McTominay was Jose. So 7 of those players that are playing on that field were Jose Mourinho signings. So, and Jose Mourinho is a good manager, effectively. You know, how many of them were under? I think, you know, Van Gaal, for example, had Martial, had Rashford, had De Gea, had Luke Shaw. So you're not wrong, but we've had 3 managers, and at least 4 or 5 of those players have played under 3 of those managers. You know, just saying. Do you think Ollie is good enough? For me, he has never been good enough. Basically, internship. That's true, but I point you to my point. I think that the players have to take some shed of this. They do. They have to, because they should be good enough. They're not good enough, but they're not match fit. So I don't want to judge this game. I want to be balanced here. They're not match fit. So let's make our judgment 5 games in. Okay, because at the end of the day, if we beat Brighton and then beat Spurs and Chelsea, for me, we need to beat Chelsea. I don't care. We beat Chelsea. If we beat Chelsea, all is forgiven, because I can't stand Chelsea fans right now. We beat Chelsea. Murad Monton, we have a good starting 11, but today they're not good enough. Our bench is not good. Sancho, we need more creative attacking side. LBLC every time. Shaw is trash. Centre back Maguire partner. Yes, we have a good starting 11. I agree with that. Although our starting 11 didn't start today. McTominay for me is not in our starting 11. Foster-Mensah's not in our starting 11, and Daniel James not in our starting 11. You know, those 3 players do not start for me. Manchester United. Our bench is not good. Well, we've got Van der Beek, so that's an improvement, as you saw today. So that's good. We have Ighalo. We have Bailly. They're not used. I'm not saying Ighalo is world-class, but is Ighalo much worse than Rashford has been? And Bailly is a much better centre-back than Lindelof and Maguire. He's our best centre-back, in fact. And I'll make that point over and over and over and over again. But I don't disagree with you. VDB better again than Kai Havertz. I agree. Yep, when you don't have a defense, I agree with that. We'll round off in a second. Fred should. VDB did what we want from him: good depth play and box play. Exactly. Fred should be our CDM. I still think Matic is United's best CDM. Oh, it's almost 1.5 hours. Jeez, I've got to round off. I still think Matic is our best CDM. He is. He's much better than Fred and at that role. But if you have to pick between Fred and McTominay, Fred all the way. Doesn't matter who plays the money. We're not winning Lindelof and Maguire. Exactly. You know, people can talk about getting a new manager in, but yeah, we're not going to be talking about that just yet, though. You know, let's be real here. Yeah, I don't disagree. Pogba came off the bench. Pogba coming off the bench might be a thing if Van der Beek starts. Brighton will be decent next week. I hope we beat Brighton next week. I don't know. I agree with you, Ilya. I do think we need to have low expectations. There's a lot of comments coming in, guys. I'm getting on top of everything. Yeah, the only thing is, Murad, is that we can't sell those players because they're on high wages. It's easier said than done to say, right, we sell this player, we sell this player, we sell this player. But unfortunately, those players are on contracts with high wages. And why would if a player doesn't want to leave, the club doesn't have to leave, does he? He signed a contract. Unless the club terminate their contract and give that club and that player a payoff, that's it. So a lot of these players are on big contracts, and if you're going to sell them to a club, then that club has to pay that player's wages, and not prepared to do. Phil Jones is on 120, I think, K a week. That's more than, I think, Trent Alexander-Arnold. So which club is going to pay Phil Jones 120K a week? Yep, I don't disagree, but it's not going to happen. I just want to be real. It's not going to happen, Georgia. I agree with you. We know that we say these things over and over again, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, unfortunately. It's not going to happen. Yep. Oh, well, new signings regress on which, but you could argue which new signings, if you look at the signings, which new signings would they be exactly? I don't think Maguire. Did Maguire really look great from the get-go? I don't think he looked great from the get-go. He was okay. Wan-Bissaka obviously didn't play today. But for me, Wan-Bissaka has been fine. I just think towards the end of the season, Wan-Bissaka was tired. But defensively, Wan-Bissaka was fine. Daniel James, Bruno obviously came in. I think Bruno had a good game today, but it was the formation. Then Van der Beek is fine. So to be honest, the only signing I'd say that I'd agree with you there, Georgia B, is Daniel James. And for me, that's just because he's not a right winger. He plays on the left, and he's played in games where he needs space to run in, and I've said that. And obviously, Greenwood comes directly from Ollie's coaching, so I don't necessarily disagree with. I'd agree with that per se. You know, exactly. Shadow, you make a very, very good point. We could have got Harry Maguire for 65 million last season with Mourinho. I still think we would have struggled, but we could have done that, and we didn't do it. Brandon is it's tough with Brandon. Can't see him as a CDM. He's not a good enough passer. I agree. That's the main reason why, for me, you can't have Fred as for me. He's better than McTominay if you're going to pick one of them. But Matic is a much better passer of the ball than Fred and McTominay. Matic needs to play as a CDM in the next game, please. Get him fit. If you can't play Matic, go out and get an actual CDM, Ed Woodward, please. It's as simple as that. Great show, mate, as well. Thank you so much. This is the only positivity coming from this is that there's a lot of you guys watching. I really appreciate it. We appreciate if you like the vid, share, and subscribe to this. Consider becoming a member of the channel as well if you want some exclusive membership emojis, as well as requesting your own videos, your own sort of Q&A sessions, as well as your own personal live streams where you can discuss all things Manchester United and beyond. So consider joining and becoming a member of the Red Devil Studio fan community. Really, really appreciate it with you guys. And shout out to our one member, Rasmus A, who's a member of the channel. Really appreciate your ongoing support, Rasmus. Really, really appreciate it. So consider becoming a member. Links in the description, or check the channel page. I'm going to plug that. I always plug it, guys. Because this takes my time. Anyway, if the reason Glazers won't spend the money because of the pandemic, take a look, Chelsea. They do transfer just fine. Yeah. And also, I mean, they had Hazard money, but not even Chelsea, mate. You're talking about, I'm looking at Liverpool. I'm looking at, Newcastle. I'm looking at so many other teams that have spent money and we haven't. Elsa says Manchester United 1-1-1. I'm assuming you mean that in a very, very negative way. So fair play. Ed promises to screw Ed promising us directors of football. Screw Ed. And as Georgia B has rightfully said, smash a like, guys. It's been swell. You guys have made this stream a lot more positive, to be honest. Last comment by El Teresa said it was very bad. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a very strong club. I'm not sure what you're trying to get at here. And that may be that you're just saying the situation is bad, but fair enough. But thanks to everyone who's watching, guys. Remember to leave a like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, X, and smash notification for the latest Manchester news. We will be doing previews for the upcoming game next week, but disappointing results. We move on. But yeah, guys, this is going to be a long, long season. Have a nice day.